Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 29 of the Hilltop Sports Report. My name is Jumpin' Jack Carlson, your host, welcoming you into another episode of the podcast. My very special guest on this episode is Seb Cisneros, number 3 on the men's soccer team. Seb is going to be my very special guest on this episode, talking all things men's soccer on the Hilltop. Without further ado, let's hit the music and start the show.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!
Thank you so very much for tuning in to this episode of the Hilltop Sports Report. As I mentioned in my intro, Seb Cisneros is my very special guest on this episode of the podcast. Seb is a senior from Los Angeles, California, so a different climate here in Iowa for him. First off, Seb, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me, Jack. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you.
So, Seb, the Rams started off the season hot in 2024. A couple of victories in the first 2 matches, holding clean sheets in both of those matches. Then a rough stretch for the Rams after that, 5 consecutive losses, but a nice job by the Rams to start conference play this past Saturday. A 4-0 victory over the Beloit Buccaneers, 2 goals from George Archer and 2 from Aiden Lurch. That was a huge win for the Rams to get back in the win column. Talk about what importance that win was for the Rams on Saturday.
That's right. We won 4-0. Obviously, that's a big confidence boost for us. We try to hold our values, playing out of the back and making sure that the coaches know what we want to do and also what they want from us. So we always do that and making sure that, we get those goals in, and obviously, from there we build confidence the next game in conference.
Well, that's fantastic. And the Rams now start off conference play next weekend, or continue conference play, I should say, next weekend. A huge game for the Rams upcoming on Wednesday right here in Mount Vernon, the Bremner Cup Point against the Cohawks, a very big match each and every year. So the Rams, with that victory on Saturday, what do you think the team needs to do on Wednesday to try and continue this momentum into starting a winning streak?
I think what we need to do is build confidence from what we did against Beloit. Try to just do what we did, maybe a little bit more confidence and more security in the back. But I think, with that win, that gives us a lot of confidence into the Co game. Obviously, we lost last year, which was very disappointing, but I think this year we have a lot better team and better talent, so I think we'll look forward to that game and try to beat the Cohawks.
Absolutely, and the Rams will take on the Cohawks at 4:15 p.m. on Wednesday right here in Mount Vernon. So if you're in the area, make sure to stop by the Cornell soccer field and cheer on your Rams. So Seb, this is your second season with the Cornell Rams. Obviously last year was a bit of a challenge for you coming from Los Angeles, and then the climate here in Iowa was not so forgiving, especially in the winter months. So talk about what the Year 2 has been for you on the Hilltop in Iowa, and what have you tried to improve with your game on the soccer team?
Yeah, so obviously, coming from LA, the weather's just, it's much more desirable over there. The weather's always nice, no matter what season it is. Coming here was different. Obviously, it was hot in August, very humid, something I'm not used to, but I did adapt to it very well. Also, the winter was extremely cold, having trouble opening my car, and, that's something new for me, But yeah, I think I adapted pretty well. I've slipped a little bit on the snow, but that's okay. We keep moving forward. So obviously here, the level is more physicality. The demand of physicality is very high in terms of back home. It's more of physical and also technical abilities on the ball. So always being good on the ball, making sure you can think 2 steps ahead of what the defenders are going to do or the attackers are going to do. So I think that helped a lot.
That's great. And this year for you, you've been able to get a couple of starts with the Rams. Let's talk about your teammates for a little bit here in 2024. Primarily the forwards for Cornell, Aiden Lurch and George Archer. Those 2 have been really important for Cornell. They accounted for all 4 goals this past Saturday against Beloit. We'll start with Aiden Lurch, the senior from Cedar Rapids. What has he brought to the team in 2024?
Yeah, so Lurch, he's been very good on that outside wing role. He's been very direct at the defenders. Obviously, he likes his right foot a lot. He likes to cut in with his right and score with his right foot. He's very demanding, wants the ball a lot, which is very good and something that we need from the rest of our teammates. As far as George too, George has been very phenomenal with us as well. He's always been that leader at the 10 spot in the middle of the field. So I think players like that really help us gain our confidence, and they demand very, very high things from us. So that's good.
Absolutely, and we would be remiss if we're talking about George and Aiden to not mention Justice Toledo, the freshman from Mexico, making a huge impact here in his freshman season. With his speed especially, he's such a weapon for the Rams to utilize. What has he brought to the team?
Yeah, so Justice as well has been phenomenal. I remember the first time he got here, he was telling me, I'm kind of nervous, starting off with the team. Like, how can I, help the guys out? And I told him, like, you know what, just play your game. It's all instincts at the end of the day. Soccer is not really like you have to think about what you're going to do. You have to always just kind of think on the spot. And he's done really well. So I'm very proud of him. He's been scoring goals for us. He's been helping us out. So I think he's been a really pivotal player for us.
So the rest of the Rams here in 2024, some youth in the lineup as well. Jake Elmore, Nathaniel Sinita Bievuta Kife. I think I got his name right. Nathaniel, I'm sorry if I butchered that last name a little bit. I'm trying my best to try and get that pronunciation. So a majority youthful energy here on this Rams team. What have those freshmen brought to the team? Talking about, what you don't know doesn't hurt you, and you go out there and you learn on the spot out there on the pitch.
Yeah, I think, like I said, all the freshmen have done really well. They've been very direct with their game, and also, like, the coaches asked them, what do you want to do, and they've been very well doing that. So I think the freshmen really need some credit. Obviously, they were very nervous coming in, and, I think we helped them out as a team, and, first preseason games, they kind of got a little bit of what it's like to play out here in Iowa, and I think after that they just adapted fairly quickly and done really well for us.
That's awesome. And then the Rams made a recent switch at goalkeeper, going to Will Bickel, who's had experience his first 2 seasons on the Hilltop in that position, going back to that position which he played so well in his first 2 seasons. What has Will brought to the team confidence-wise in the net, because he has so much experience and he's done really well in his first couple of games back?
Yeah, so I think Willie's been doing well for us. As far as Jeremy, too, has been starting a little bit, and he's also been doing well for us, too. Will's been very vocal for our back line. He's been very, every time we concede a goal, he would always bring us in and tell us, what we need to do and how we need to, step up and focus. So I think that's a very important thing as a goalkeeper. But yeah, I think he's played a significant role as well. And, obviously it was a shock that he would go back in goal, as he's been very well for us in that center back role. So I think he's been doing well. So yeah, very good for Will. And
you just mentioned Jeremy Spina, the 5th year. He brings a lot of leadership to this team. How important is he?
He's very important. I think he's a very good leader. Especially on the bench when the non-starters are not starting, he would come up to us and give us a handshake. So I think that gives us a really good boost of confidence. It's always the little things that Jeremy does that really helps us out and helps me out too as well. Especially I demand a lot from myself, and I think Jeremy kind of eases that a little bit, and comes up to me and gives me that handshake. So it's really good for him to do that. So I think that's a very important role.
That's fantastic. So now from the players to the coaching staff, head coach Nate Grossi, who you refer to as El Profe, is that correct?
That's right, El Profe.
El Profe. So what does he bring to the team each and every day as the head man, and what confidence does he instill in you guys?
So Nate's a really good guy. I think he brings us a lot of confidence, and he always reminds us to always think about what we're going to do before the game, always tells us to body prep before the game, as it's very important, making sure we're disciplined, we drink enough water. I think he's like kind of that person who we like to look up to as a coach. He's very, very comfortable in reaching out to him and letting him know what we need or what he needs from us. Very approachable as well. So I think that's a very important thing about a coach. So yeah, I think he's done really well with the team and really eased us our anxiety and our nervousness before games. So that's really good.
And it couldn't be done just with him. The entire coaching staff as a whole, talking about the assistant coaches especially, what have those guys done to help your growing as a player here at Cornell?
Yeah, so I think Coach John and Coach Lenny have obviously helped us a lot. They've been pretty much running a lot of the drills for us in the beginning of our practices. And, when we start practice, sometimes we're kind of tired from class, or, it's like we just ate food or something like that. So I think having John and Coach Lenny, having them there, I think it's very important, because they kind of give us that boost of confidence, that like the fire to come out and perform right when we kick the first ball. And I think that's very important for the rest of the practice as it goes.
That's awesome. And you also have to shout out Balta on this episode of the podcast too, because Balta means so much to the Cornell men's soccer program, not only on match days, where he's there, he's doing the public address announcing, and he's handling all the social media, but he's doing everything outside of match day as well. So what has he meant to you?
He's a very professional guy. With everything he does, it's just kind of like, it's always good and professional, and that's something that we like, what we see, because we like to see that in, we see that in the pro teams, how they have all their social media like organized and their game set up organized. So that kind of gives us another boost of confidence as well. We can bring the fans out and have that professional environment like if they were coming to an actual professional soccer game, which is really cool.
That's awesome. And then one more thing that we have to talk about on the staff is those student managers, Allie, Jack, among others. What have those individuals brought to the team with their hard work each and every day, not only during game days, but off those game days as well?
Yeah, they've been exceptionally well for us. Like I said, Allie and Jack, we really appreciate what you guys do from the Cornell soccer team. Sometimes we don't give the credit enough, but we do really appreciate it. They've helped us a lot. They really instilled us to have confidence, and they always show up to our games. They're there with us on our bad days and as well as our good days. So I think that's obviously important, and we consider them as the Ram family for the soccer team.
That's awesome. And let's change gears a little bit from playing to coaching, because I know you help out in the coaching realm while you're still playing here in college. So giving back to that game of soccer, how important is that to you to try and teach that next generation?
Yeah, so I've been coaching for about 8 years now, and I love coaching. I love spreading the knowledge to the youth. I think it's very important because we see soccer is growing, not just here in America, but also all over the world. So I think, we want to produce a lot of good talent here and compete with the rest of the world, especially Europe, because I know they're considered the best right now. But so I think knowing that I can show my skill and bring it to them and show it to them, I think that really does help me, and it makes me feel happy whenever they perform and they score 3 goals and they say, "Oh yeah, he coached me." I think that's really exceptional.
That's fantastic. And a couple more things before we go away. The first is going forward this season with the Rams. What are you expecting to see on Wednesday against Co? And then just going forward, the rest of conference play, hopefully contending for a conference title. What are your expectations for the season?
So I think our expectations, not just for Co, but for the rest of the season, would be just, mental toughness. I think we've been doing well as far as, moving the ball and tactic-wise, but I think we've kind of been struggling in the mental aspect side of things. So I really think that, I really want to see us be better mentally, especially if we concede a goal, we don't just shut down automatically, we kind of just respond. Also, in addition to that, we set the tone immediately. So we don't wait for teams to score, we have to score first. I think that's what Coach really instilled on for us, and he really put that out. We need to set the tone right away, and I expect to see that, especially against Co and the rest of the conference. So I'm excited, and I hope we go all the way.
Excited to see what the Rams can do. And one final question before I let you go, and thank you so much for your time today on the Hilltop Sports Report. Final question for you. So you're majoring in kinesiology, you have all this experience playing soccer and also coaching soccer. Going ahead after college, what does Seb Cisneros plan to do?
I plan to go to AT school. Obviously, I need a little bit more time just to, make sure I apply and do all the right steps. I'm still going to go coaching. I'm still going to do some coaching and coach these wonderful kids with some talent that are unseen, and maybe play in the professional level. Hopefully I can get on a team that can provide me with a good experience and play at a high level, because that's always been my goal, playing professional. So I think accomplishing that dream would be something that I would cherish forever.
Well, we believe in you here on the Hilltop, and thank you so much for your time and insight into Cornell Rams men's soccer and your personal life as well. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it.
Stay tuned to the Cornell Rams social media platforms as to when the next episode of the Hilltop Sports Report will drop. We're going to be interviewing cross-country head coach Jerry Frawley on the next episode of the podcast. Once again, thanks to Seb Cisneros for his time on this episode. Make sure to stop by the Cornell soccer field this Wednesday at 4:15 as the Rams take on the Co-Hawks. On behalf of the Cornell College Rams, my name is Jumpin' Jack Carlson, signing off and saying, I'll see you next time.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!